Hey everybody. Hey Sean, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm well. Happy Monday to you. And big weekend in soccer, a big weekend for March Madness.
Yep.
It's all kinds of crazy going here. I started here on Capital Network, the Stream On, which we've been doing that podcast now for 4 years. And we're doing it now on Capital Network. We're doing it live every day at 1:30 as the lead into this show. So we had some fun today.
Talk the little Oscars I saw.
Yeah, we talked the Oscars, and we got questions, and surprisingly, most of them were from Twitch.
Right.
So our Twitch guys are coming in, so we like that.
I thought the most interesting thing about the Oscars is it all started back in the day with Encino Man. So,
right.
Then Encino Man set the stage for the Oscars 2023, which I think if anybody ever watched Encino Man,
I did.
It's maybe Pauly Shore's got it might be up for an award at some point soon. So,
well, let's hope so. That would be good. Did you see everything?
No, it's on tonight on Showtime. I know at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, I haven't seen a lot of movies. I haven't.
Well, you've been the world traveler here for a while.
Yeah. I think I saw Dune when it came out. I don't even know. That's a while ago now, probably 2 years ago.
I saw one, which was up for an Academy Award. I saw Back to Babylon, which was up for Academy Award. I saw Top Gun Maverick, which was up. And I didn't see the one that won. Of course, that would make sense. But honestly, as silly as it sounds, Top Gun Maverick to me was the better of all the films I had seen because it was the most entertaining. The others were just, cringeworthy. I don't know.
Yeah, the problem I think sometimes with the Oscars is just supposedly this everything everywhere, whatever. It was pretty interesting. Like,
pretty much a time travel metaverse thing, right?
Yeah, which I'm interested in. So I'll probably have to see it now.
It's hard to keep track of it, but friends said they enjoyed it.
I have a problem sometimes. They give these awards to these movies that nobody cares about.
Right.
If some, I'm not the average person, but if I'm not gonna be interested, I just don't. Some of them I just don't. I'm not interested in. When The Departed won, I thought it was excellent.
Well, I'll give you for instance and see what you think on this. I tend to gravitate to comedy. Okay, not that I don't like drama, but comedy something. When you go to the movies, you want some sort of mindless stuff. A few years back, we all know that basically pretty much every award was won in that year by Titanic. Okay, nothing wrong with the picture; it was a fine picture. That same year was As Good as It Gets, which to me was one of the best comedies that certainly the best comedy Jack Nicholson had ever been in.
Yep.
And one of James Burrows' best directors in comedy. So it was a fantastic film. And I thought, unfortunately it lost because comedies don't win.
Yeah, I remember, 100 years ago, Shawshank didn't win. And you look back now and, it's you see some of the things that won and you're just like, what? I just read Jimmy Garoppolo plans to sign with the Raiders. So interesting.
Okay. I saw that Sports Talk Florida is reporting that Baker Mayfield will be a Buccaneer.
Wow. It's a good signing.
They like him. They hired the OC from Seattle. And if you remember, Seattle, the OC at Seattle wanted to trade for Baker Mayfield, and the GM said no, and so and it turned out okay for them. They, Geno Smith played well for them, but Baker went to Los Angeles, and I don't know that you could really fairly grasp what went on first in Carolina and then in Los Angeles, because he went to two teams that were very dysfunctional at the time he got there.
He was good. It was interesting because he was very good. I one of my guys, Kevin, who lives up in Canada, he's a Manchester State fan. He's a huge Rams fan, and he was real high on him. I mean, I know Amadeus was kind of, he was following him. So
that's one of his Oklahoma boys. So
yep.
So yeah, I mean, look, he was there. He was fine until everybody on the you can't fault him for all of his receivers getting hurt in Los Angeles. That's not his fault.
Yeah,
that was a problem. I have a lot of people when we're just talking streaming video, right? Everybody's almost everybody there wanted to know how to fill out the brackets. So I'm going through the brackets with them. It's a fun. It's going to be a fun tournament. There's a lot of parity this year. A lot of good basketball teams this year.
Yeah, I think
I like your UCLA team. I do.
Yeah, you know what though? It's tough because my two picks are going to play. The two teams I would have thought that would have maybe got.
They're in the same draw.
Yeah, Gonzaga and UCLA. So I have to kind of make a choice there between those two.
Well, I mean, this is I think this is Drew Timme's last year, right? I mean,
yeah, he's 29. He's age out of the program at this point.
Yeah, he's got his graduate degrees. He's pretty much been there forever. I think if I had to make a choice, and this is just me having to make a choice here, I would go with UCLA only because of guard play. UCLA probably has the best guards. Maybe they have the best guards tandem in college basketball right now. I like guard play when it comes to NCAA tournament. So we'll see. Hey, look what we got. We got
promotions.
Oh, we don't need that. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Uprooted Indul. Yeah, as long as you follow us and like us, maybe
maybe you never know. We'll see what we can do. I almost put it up there before I even read it. So yeah, I mean, there's over the weekend was a lot of good soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Foxy's here yet.
Not yet.
See what he has to say about this. I'm to be honest, I'm just at this point. It's the best league in the world, and the standard of refereeing in this league is atrocious. I don't have much of a. I don't think there's much of a argument you could have for as a Manchester United fan for the red card. I think he got the ball and his foot bounced off the ball and it went into his leg. If that's a red card, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. He's got to be less reckless. But the same tackle happened in the Leicester City and Chelsea match early in the match, 2 minutes in, and it wasn't even a card. And then the penalty shout, it's ridiculous. And then, in the Newcastle game, that's why I want to wait to see what Foxy says because, one of the Newcastle United fans who's also Jack Talbot, who's a reporter, is a fan and was, the Nick Pope incident early in the game. I mean, it's a penalty and he's the last man. He takes him down and they don't call it. Like, it's just the standard of refereeing is so bad. And that VAR, I think at some point VAR has to be taken out of the hands of officials who don't want to overturn. It's like if my buddy is reffing a game,
right,
and he's just like, ask me to overturn. I'm like, I'm not going to embarrass it. It's just weird the way it plays out. Like, I just don't think the way it works is going to be the way forward. So
Well,
there has to be some different way to do it.
Let me ask you a question with regard to VAR. VAR doesn't work like instant replay in the NFL?
No,
because in the NFL, they have the situation where the replay happens. There's a replay judge, and the replay judge can overrule the guy on the field. So it's not like
the replay judge can just tell the guy on the field, and for the Premier League, like, to go look at the monitor, and then that guy makes his choice. Right?
But the guy that
99 times out of 100, when they go look at the monitor, they're going to change the call.
Right.
But the offside rule too is ridiculous. There was a call in the Tottenham game. Richarlison was offside, and I mean, it was like there was no way he was offside. Like the line was like. Sometimes the line is close, and you're like, it's the blue line and the red line.
Right.
The line was a millimeter, and they were using his elbow. You can't score with your elbow. I just like, at some point,
it's got to be the foot, right?
It's got any part that can score. But
okay, so I
just think this is me personally. Like, you can't. I mean, the advantage is so far back to the defenders now. No, yeah. Look, Foxy, I just think it's a little unlucky because he got he slid, he got the ball first, and if his foot slides, if it hits the middle of the ball and slides underneath the ball, it's a nothing. If he hits the ball and it slides up up his leg, so I just think it's unlucky. It's definitely a red though, but then the same thing happened in the Chelsea game. 2 minutes in, and nothing. And you're just like, there has to be some kind of standard. But I was talking about, like, Fox, I don't know if you saw the Richarlison, the offsides. I mean, it was a joke. There was no way he was offside. And it was legitimately a millimeter. And me personally, I think if any part of your body is onside that can score a goal. Like, if your foot is even, if your trail foot is even with a defender, I think you should be onside. That's what I think. I don't think it should be like the front part. I think it should be any part. It's like if you watch hockey, when the guy is skating, and as long as he's dragging his toe, even if 99% of his body is in the zone, he's still onside. That's just what I think. So, and then, you got the handball incident, the Nick Pope incident, all this stuff. The Pope one, 100%, right? So if it's a player in form with common sense, Wolves either score or get a penalty with a Pope red card. Yeah. I just, the problem I had too, that I was saying with the VAR, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you watched the game. The Southampton players on the ground, and he moves they didn't even check it. Like, that didn't even go to VAR. Like, how does that not go? Like, you either got to send that or don't. Like, then if you're not sending that, it's an absolute joke. I just think at some point, because the way they do it in Europe in the UEFA games is different than the way they do it in the Premier League. It's just a different way. I mean, you see these VAR challenges in Europe, and they're quick, right? And the thing is, they're 5 minutes with this red card, right? And then he adds 1 minute on to the time, and I'm just like, what? So, there's no consistency through the league, and once again, your buddy is the guy making the choice. So, your buddy's not going to embarrass you. So that's just the way I think. I think they need to do something about some of this stuff. But I mean, it's a pretty interesting weekend. It started, Bournemouth. The Liverpool game is the craziest game that
was wacky.
But they were terrible. Like, Bournemouth, and people were like, "Oh no!" Liverpool was terrible. Like, Bournemouth deserved to win the game, but they deserved to get something from the week before against Arsenal too. I mean, Arsenal scored and they played until Arsenal scored, but Bournemouth was good. I thought they were really good in that game. And then Leicester's really bad. They're in a lot of trouble. The games. Arsenal looks really good. I don't know. I think at some point in April, after this international break, these games are going to start getting a lot tougher for Arsenal. So they need to keep playing well. West Ham, I thought, I liked Villa to get a result there. So, you got some, this is a big week coming up for the, you got the, you're going to have the Europa League draw, the Conference League draw, and the Champions League draw here on Friday, I believe. And it's going to be you're going to have the draw all the way through. You're going to see everybody's path. So, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. So this is a big week. I think, Porto Inter City's going to destroy Leipzig. When Pep Guardiola starts talking really nice about the other coach, they're going to absolutely
you're in trouble.
Annihilate them. Napoli's going to probably smoke Eintracht Frankfurt, and, Real Madrid's up 5-2 there. And then, Wednesday, you got the Brighton and Hove, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Brentford games. I think both of those are interesting. The Premier League table right now is really it's really interesting. Foxy, who do you think goes down among these teams? Because right now there's Southampton's on 22, Leeds on 23, Leicester, West Ham, Bournemouth on 24, Everton 25, Nottingham Forest 26, Palace and Wolves 27. So it's going to be among those teams. I mean, Crystal Palace has been atrocious. I don't think they've won since last year, since before the break. There's some teams in really, really bad form here. And there's some teams, Nottingham Forest minus 26 goal difference. Everton minus 18, Bournemouth minus 26, Southampton minus 21. So I'll be interested to see, and then obviously the race for Europe at the top. So
who do you think's getting relegated?
Who do I think? I think I'd love to see Leeds, West Ham, and Leicester get relegated, or maybe Everton. I would really, the rest showing decent form. I think Leeds is going to go as well. They give up a lot of goals. Bournemouth, they're playing better, but they're just giving up a lot of goals. 51 goals in 26 games.
So Leeds that would be an earth-shattering move.
They're down for 16 years, and then they come back for 2 and go down. If West Ham goes down, if Everton goes down, if Leicester goes down, if Palace goes down, I mean those teams have been in the league for a long time. So I'll be honest. I mean, I don't. I mean, there's 12 games left, and I have really no clue. It could be any of those teams. I mean, Bournemouth's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Leeds is very good. Southampton's clearly not very good, but they have some talent.
Right.
West Ham is really good here, but they're playing in Europe here, so that could be interesting. Everton really strong at home under Dice will keep them up, I think. So, made too many errors. They should have, they probably should have stuck with Bielsa. I agree. This new guy, I don't know. We'll see, but
do you think he's going to make coaching changes?
What's that?
Who do you think is going to make coaching changes?
Well, I mean, basically everybody at the bottom has already done it. So except for West Ham and Leicester, so and Nottingham Forest, and so I don't think I think Rogers probably stays till the end. Moyes, I think it's too late at this point. I mean, they're probably going to go after that guy Will Still, who's 17 games unbeaten at Reims, but not sure.
Let's talk a little bit for a second about we talked about March Madness from the top of the show. What was there anything surprised you about who got in, who didn't get in, and from that standpoint?
I kind of knew North Carolina wasn't getting in. I mean, they were a little closer than I guess people thought there, but they needed one more win. I guess people are mad about Rutgers, but once again, I don't know how good the Big Ten is. So
The Big Ten wasn't that good. I don't think that. I mean, a lot of those teams. I think Maryland, frankly, got in on their name.
I think so. Yeah. Hey,
I mean,
man,
I didn't see it.
I gotta run. Someone's at my door. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I will. I'll hold on with you, gang, and we'll talk for a minute. Let's talk a little bit about the March Madness. Southwest Missouri State takes on Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and that's in the first four on Tuesday night. Pittsburgh, Mississippi State's the nightcap there in Dayton. So you've got 2 16 seeds. I think I would have to go with Southeast Missouri. That whole conference is a very good conference. And so I would go there. Pittsburgh, Mississippi State. Mississippi State's 11. They're both 11 seeds. Pittsburgh has not played well in the ACC the last few games. Mississippi State's played better. Maybe it's not. It would be to me a toss up, but I'd probably give it to Mississippi State. The 2 16 seeds on Wednesday is Fairleigh Dickinson and Texas Southern, then Nevada and Arizona State.
We're gonna get Foxy to get a bracket filled out here, or?
Well, I just figured I'd take a couple of seconds while you're gone and talk a little bit about the first four on Tuesday and the first four on Wednesday night.
They're interesting because I mean, of late, some of these teams that have come out of that first four,
right?
Have
gone
been
well.
Yeah, and if you. I would have to look and see what Nevada did because I think a lot of people were a little
Nevada. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was surprised. They're out in the Mountain West, and they've had good teams, but Arizona State's 11 seed. I think that's really not a good. I think they deserved a higher seed than 11.
I would say that to me, that's probably of those four, 11 seeds, because 16 seeds aren't doing anything.
Right.
To me, because I just think the Pac-12 or Pac-10 was what was pretty tough. I like Arizona a lot in that part of the bracket. I think Baylor's a little soft. Virginia as a 4 isn't any good. Alabama is good, but
But who knows what's going to happen?
Done anything? I like Arizona a lot there. I like UCLA, but that they're going to have to play. UCLA to get out of their bracket is going to have to beat probably Gonzaga or TCU. That's a tough game. And then probably Kansas or UConn. Maybe St.
They got a rough ride.
Yeah, I mean, I think my winner would probably come out of that bracket, the West.
Well, I mean, it's the attrition, right? I mean, you survived that, and you basically won the tournament.
Yeah, Houston's bracket. I think.
Houston's got a walk bracket. I mean,
yeah, it's not.
But I'm not sold. I don't know
on
what
Houston.
the ACC was. I mean, the AAC. I'm sorry, this year. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to discount Houston, but at the same time, who the hell they play?
Yeah, no, it's I mean, they're 31-3, but
Yeah. I mean,
they didn't win.
I mean, their non-conference schedule was impressive, okay, but the conference games that they pretty much feasted upon, no one there was that good.
Yeah, and they lost to Memphis.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Memphis isn't that good a team.
not that it matters as much because I mean, Houston knew they're getting in, but I just think sometimes these teams need to win these tournaments to kind of show a little legitimacy. I mean, this is the.
I think one of the teams that's undervalued is St. Mary's.
Yeah.
I mean, St. Mary's has proven time and time again. It was St. Mary's and Gonzaga in the same. And look, you can say all you want to about Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Those teams play outside of that conference. They play a brutal non-conference schedule.
Yep. Yeah. Right now, I mean, if I'm looking at it, I probably, I'm maybe looking at Marquette in the East, or I'm not a big fan of Purdue and the Big Ten. Duke probably beats them. I think the winner of Gonzaga UCLA comes out of the West. I just don't think Kansas is going to come out. I think Houston probably walks that Midwest, and it's probably Arizona, Alabama in the South in the final. So I would go with Arizona, but
I think that I agree with you that I think that the Pac-12 was undervalued. I think the Big 12 was overvalued. I spoke to a friend of mine today who covers Baylor, and he wasn't overwhelmed by Baylor.
I just think people look. They won the last two titles. Texas and all this stuff, but
TCU, they got TCU there. I mean,
they're it's a West Virginia.
That one is we talked just before you came back. We were talking. I was talking about. I don't even see how West Virginia's in there, and Pitt, either one of them.
I mean that's the West Virginia finished 8th in the Big 12,
like the Big 12, right? Yeah,
8th. And I guess they got in. That's I don't know. I don't understand.
I've known Huggins ever since he was back at Akron. So I mean, I know Bill. Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins is great. He's a smothering defense. That's all he likes to play. And the first one to 50, usually in a West Virginia game, wins. But I don't know what to say about this team. It's not. It's just not good.
Yeah, that game is I mean, how do you pick that game?
I don't try.
It's a
bracket.
I mean, matchup predictor is 50. It's 51-49 for Maryland, but I mean, Maryland's not any good. This is
Maryland's got height. Okay, well, so maybe that helps you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
this is the
don't
toughest
have,
tournament to pick.
neither one of those teams have guards.
I just think it's the toughest tournament to pick I've ever seen here because there's some teams, you know, I
There's
hate
a lot of name-only teams in this.
I hate that they do this, like San Diego State and Charleston. Like Charleston is 31-3 and got a 12 seed. You know, it's a little ridiculous.
It's not fair.
San Diego State, who's very good.
Yeah.
Both of those, if both of those teams were seated somewhere else, I would pick both of them to go through. Now, only one of them is going to go through, and I just don't think that's fair to Charleston. You know, they're really, really good.
But this tournament has always favored the major power conferences.
Yep.
They've always devalued, what they quote unquote call the mid majors. The mid majors play just as good at basketball as the majors.
And sometimes better because they have older kids. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it stays together.
You got Miami and Drake as a 5-12. These 5-12 games, I mean, I think they do it on purpose now at this point. I mean, this Drake team is good.
Yeah.
Miami's very good too. Isaiah Wong and but
Larinaga is a good coach. Yeah, I like Jim. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I just think you look through at some of these excuse me. You got St. Mary's and VCU. Once again, VCU is 27-7. They're really good. And they
always are. I mean, pretty much.
And they won out. They won out to go. They won the last 9 games, and they won the tournament. They won a pretty good league,
mm-hmm.
and they're 27-7, and they get a 12 seed. I don't know. I think they make these 5-12 games like that, so like the 12s win and they get these upsets. Duke and Oral Roberts. Look, this Oral Roberts team. Once again, here's another one. They're 30 wins.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yep.
That's going to be a tough game. I mean, they annihilated their league. They,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that league. When you go through and you look at that the Summit League,
mm-hmm.
over the years, South Dakota State,
mm-hmm.
and they won every game in the league. I mean, they won 7. They've won 17 games in a row.
Uh-huh.
So, their only losses are to New Mexico at New Mexico in the elevation,
mm-hmm.
at Utah State in the elevation.
Mm-hmm.
At Houston and at St. Mary's.
Right.
Houston beat them by 40, but they were in the game with St. Mary's opening night.
Yep.
And you see some of these other games. I mean, they've beaten some pretty good teams pretty handily. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I also took a quick look at the women's and talk about South Carolina plays the first 2 rounds of the tournament at home,
and then they play the next 2 in the brackets. And isn't their thing right there?
Yeah. Then you go Stanford, who plays at home, and then goes to Seattle.
I mean, I know why they do it, because they want people to
Yeah, they want people to show up at the game.
Yeah, and you got I've been to some first and second round games, all over the place to see North Carolina play and whatever. And even the men's, like some of the games, they're not sold out. I mean,
mm-hmm.
you got the early games, the 2 early games, and then the 2 late games. I think they've done a better job now putting, different teams in Sacramento or something like this. It's not always it's not the East bracket, or it's not the thing. I think, they put different teams in it. So
mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool. But I looked at the TV schedule for
Yeah, I've got it right here in front of me. So the first four is Tuesday and Wednesday, and we've already talked about that one. The first game up on it tips at CBS on Thursday, and goodbye to Jimmy Nance. Jimmy's gonna retire from doing the March Madness and do only golf and football now. So
Yeah,
I
they
need
put that West Virginia Maryland game on first, I guess.
yeah,
during
that's
the
the
day,
tip
so
off
nobody-
game, on CBS. True TV is Virginia and Furman. Virginia's not that good either.
Yeah, no, you look at these early games, and it's interesting too because
How did Furman get a 13 seed? They're not. I mean, they played well.
yeah, and I think they do the one thing that's cool about the tournament is there's games basically every hour,
Right.
every and it's basically all day, but I mean
Into the night. Yeah.
if after the first weekend, 75% of the tournament is already over.
Right.
There's 32 games. I mean, plus
Mhm.
plus the 4 playing games.
I gotta say that when I used to direct the tournament, that was the NCAA tournament was my favorite event to do because you got there in the morning and you saw fans coming in, and you would then have a dinner break, which of a couple of hours, like the last game would get over, like say 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then the night session wouldn't start until 7 or 7:30, and so it was just a lot of really good basketball. It was a lot of fun to do it, and the first week to me is fun.
Yeah.
And the next week, of course, is the Sweet 16. Those are usually night games.
Yeah, they're Thursday and Friday night. I mean, starting at 7:20.
Right.
Right.
And then you got the Elite Eight that weekend, and it's off to the Final Four this year. All that's going down in Houston. But
Foxy, I heard that Rochester. Yeah, Foxy. That's. I know that's the team I did the social for. Jamie Vardy. After this is all. How do I want to allegedly? Is that a good way to say it?
that would be a best. Okay, right.
When the Wagatha Christie thing happened and they had to pay the Rooneys for that, he kind of backed away, but there's some people up there that are around the team that kind of said he wasn't really, they were kind of using them as a face more so. He was supposed to be there. I was supposed to go up and do a bunch of interviews because I did all the social stuff for him, and then he backed out, and then it just disappeared. Like he just disappeared off the socials. They didn't want us talking about him and stuff. So they had the issues with the funding and everything, and there's all this kind of stuff going on, I guess. And then supposedly what happened is like they had someone that was going to come in and help own the team from Italy, and they backed out maybe like 11th hour at the end of February, and they just had to. But my guy Pedro Dolabella that was there, I used to coach him here. He's playing for Omaha now in USL 1. He was apparently they told them a long time ago. So some of this stuff with the timelines doesn't really mesh with like what is actually you hear from the players. So that they let everybody kind of go. So I think they knew there was going to be some issues beforehand, and it's such a mess. I feel bad for the people up there. I feel bad for the players. A lot of them got hooked on with other teams, but I feel bad for the fans because they're passionate fans up there in Rochester. Now they have Flower City and stuff, but it's weird. Rochester is like far north. It's a crazy. It's got a lot of history because the Underground Railroad ended there where they would kind of smoke. They would they would get the slaves out, and I guess across the border into Canada.
Right, in Canada.
So I mean, it has a huge history. It's a really it's a city that's really diverse, and it's really tolerant is the right word. It's just it's a really cool. There's a cool city, and they're still the only non-MLS team to win the U.S. Open Cup. So they have this huge history, and it's just to see what happened is really unfortunate. So but I did all the social, I did the live tweeting during the games and stuff like that. That was kind of fun. But it's hard, man, when you have to, you're watching a game and someone scores a goal. I have a lot of empathy now for like the fans, the people that do the accounts for like Manchester United, Newcastle, and stuff like that, because you're watching this game, and we used to watch it in this thing called Clip Pro. It would immediately after the goals or any kind of thing, it would cut this 20-second thing and get it there, and then you could put it on the social media within 2 minutes. So it's pretty they do anything for the NBA and stuff. It's pretty cool, but it's tough. You're watching the game and you're trying to like do all this stuff, like tweet and thing and put these goals up. So it's like it's pretty hectic 2 hours.
It's a beyond multitasking.
Yeah, and you're the man of the, your name, and you vote for man of the match, and you put stuff up, and then they give out the man of the match to whoever, and you tell the person making the graphics, hey, listen, man of the match, and then she had to like get it ready real quickly and then send it to me, and I had to post it. So it's interesting. It gave me a lot of I see some of the stuff that the people do for like these real big teams, and I can't even imagine. It's so interesting.
Well, I mean, you're dealing with a 10 or 12 person department in those big team situations, because you got one person cutting the video, you got one person getting ready to post for four different social media platforms, and then everything's got to go out in somewhat real time. And
that's the thing. I mean, it's amazing like how quickly this stuff.
If you watch the NFL and the teams in the NFL and Major League Baseball, they'll give them props as well. You can see Ohtani hit a home run on your television screen, and if you've got your phone in your hand, you'll see maybe a minute and a half, that same home run clip.
That's that clip. That's this thing, this Clip Pro. It's the coolest. Like, I was always like, even like after the fact, like, I'm like, listen, like, can I, you got to get me on. Like, I would love to do stuff for me. It's so interesting.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you can go through and say, I want. They rate the stuff 5-star, 4-star down to like 1 star is like a pass or like a throwing or something like that. So you can say, anything above 3 stars, which would be a goal or like a crazy bit of skill or an assist or something like this. But like, for NBA, NBA or baseball, most of the teams that do it use this thing, and it's just the technology is so cool. And I'm just like, man, this is last 2022. Like, imagine what they're gonna have in like 2 years. Like the speed of the technology is going so quickly. So
and the ACC Digital, I gotta give them props. They turn around a game. The game is over. They turn the game around in 15 minutes. It's posted on their YouTube channel. You can literally watch a condensed version of the game that most of the news services haven't got the story up yet, and they've got the damn game there, condensed. So somebody's working hard on that angle as well. The other day I wanted to ask your opinion, because you spend a lot of time in the UK. What'd you think of Gary Linkler getting knocked off and then reinstated?
Yeah, the problem I had, and I think Foxy will kind of,
Bear you out on this one?
yeah. Look, he says something, and he was
He said on social media, right?
Yeah,
On the
social
air.
media, and the people that run the BBC didn't like it, so whatever. But you got other guys, like Lord Sugar and stuff that say stuff, and he's still on The Apprentice. I just there's a I think if you are on a certain side of things in England,
Yeah.
which would be the Tories,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that the BBC and stuff like this. I think you're kind of all right, and if you're not, they were to make an example of this, and it's just it doesn't because he's on the British broadcast. The whole thing that it's state backed.
Sure.
So it's just they make these big deals about this little things. They always make big deals about little things, but whenever I see that with politics, if they make a big deal about some little thing, to me, I'm always thinking well, then what are they trying to divert attention from?
Right.
Something else. I always see that there's something will happen, and they'll make a huge deal about it because the press is. It's not state run, but it kind of is.
Right.
They'll all come out with these stories, and you're just well, what are they trying to make you look away from?
Right.
It's almost hey, look over here, look over here. So it's just a lot of it's a lot of stuff. But the other thing is there shouldn't even be match of the day. Just show all the matches. England is the only place where you can't watch the 3 p.m. kickoffs, which is 10 a.m. here.
Right.
Everywhere else in the world, I mean, we talked about this all the time. I can watch every game.
Yeah.
Foxy can watch every game. You can watch every game.
Right.
You can in England. So, but the problem now is Twitter or these places or YouTube. Right. You can go find the highlights anytime now anyway. Because even if you're just I'm not going to be I'm in England. VPN, whatever.
Right.
There's 100 different ways around this stuff. And half the country has IPTV now.
Right.
So you can watch the games anyway. So I don't need to watch match of the day because I saw the games. Right. And if I didn't see the games and I really, really want to see the games, by the time I get home at 3:00 in the afternoon, I could go on to Peacock and have a 15-minute, the same thing that they have on
match of the day.
Show on Match of the Day, and whatever. And then the part of it is Lineker talks and whoever, Micah Richards or Alan Shearer, whatever. Once again, I don't need to hear. I have my own eyes. I know enough about the game at this point. There's other sports where I don't like football. I know a lot about football too, but when I listen to Peyton Manning talk on that Manning cast, he's telling me stuff I don't know sometimes. Soccer, I know, I have a license, whatever. I know all this stuff, so I don't need somebody to tell me what's going on. Sometimes I like the tactical analysis where they're breaking down the overlaps and stuff, but I still don't think they do enough of that.
Right.
So it's an outdated program. Now when they have an EFL show where they go, the Championship, League One and League Two. That's cool because you can't watch all to me, and the highlights are quicker and they're thing, and you see, Gillingham and Bristol City and some of these teams. I like that stuff because I don't necessarily get a chance to see that all the time. So,
well, the other thing and I was, of all places, on Twitter, not necessarily where you should be, um, and I, um, it was fun the other day. Kalen Kyle, I should say,
Yeah.
who's on the MLS show. Um, I give them credit. They don't try to break the game down. They kind of play that role uh, of a fan watching the game, and so the game's on behind him. And as the other night, it was later in the evening, and one of the guys on the set goes, I would like to see what's going on in the LAFC game. So they go, all right, fine. Well, so they go, one of the guys said, so who's got the remote? Which was a joke because obviously they don't have the remote.
Yeah.
So, they changed the channel in the control room to the LAFC game. And they watched about 5 minutes of it. He goes, I don't need any more of this. so they go, what's going on? The control room said to them, in the earpiece, it's snowing in Minneapolis and it's crazy. So they go to Minneapolis and there's snow all over the field. And the balls, the guys are falling on the rear ends all because they evidently they don't have cleats that work in the snow. And so one of the guys says, he goes, I'm glad I didn't bet on this soccer game. God knows what's going to happen at the end of it. It was one goal could win because nobody can get from one side of the field to the other. And by the way, during the halftime, the fans came down and helped get the snow off the field. So it was crazy, but I mean, they make it fun. They don't take it so seriously. They're not trying to, educate you to the game. They're assuming and that's what I've always liked about, those kind of shows. Why I like the TNT basketball show. They assume the people watching understand the game. They don't need to preach to you about what's going on. They can just literally be themselves.
Yep.
And I think that's what people appreciate. That if you're watching the game, you probably know how the game's played.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't have to break it down. Just have fun with it. And let's, as I say, I love the guys on MLB Tonight because they love the game. And so they will turn down the local broadcasters and they'll say, he's going to throw a curveball right now. I know he's going to throw it. And then one guy goes, well, if he throws it, they're going to hit it out of the ballpark because he can't throw a curveball to this guy. And they're yelling at each other like four guys in a bar watching the game together.
Yep.
And that's entertainment to me. You don't need to tell me that Jacob deGrom has a wicked curveball. I've seen Jacob deGrom miss a lot of bats. He does have a curveball. I don't need to know. And by the way, if somebody hits it out, it doesn't matter. He threw it, they hit it. So it is what it is. But yeah, you don't need to tell anybody. If you know the game, if you don't know the game, you'll pick it up.
Yep.
But that's the fun part of all this. And we were talking earlier about the March Madness. We're talking about the soccer. I mean, a lot of the thing with the BBC is if you went to and compared the social media of the guys on the sports side versus the guys on the political side. The guys on the political side say whatever the hell they want and never get in trouble. The guys on the sports side says one thing, which it's his Twitter account. It's not like he's representing the BBC. Technically, he is, but technically it's his own account. And he says it, and he gets banged for that. But in the same building, on a different floor, guys are saying a hell of a lot worse than what he said.
Yep.
And nobody says a word to them.
That's the problem I have. Like, you can't.
And it's in the same house. It's in the same building.
If you tell me, look, you can't post political stuff because you're on BBC and you're supposed to be neutral.
Mhm.
Okay. This side, whatever. It doesn't matter. But
Mhm.
you can't let other people do this. Like, you know, like you can't
Right.
let these people over here do it. So
Right.
it's, you know, it's.
You remember Rob Dibble?
Yeah,
Picture Rob went on. He used to do a Sirius XM show while he was also a broadcaster, and he mentioned that he thought one day he mentioned that he thought that Steven Strasberg was soft. That maybe the problem with Steven is they've handled him too softly. That really wasn't a dig or was an observation by a guy on a radio show who also happened to be a broadcaster for the National.
And he also pitched
Right.
in the major leagues first.
Pitched in the major league.
So he knows what he's talking
Smart guy,
Yep.
albeit from Connecticut. We'll give him that. So he gets fired for, basically offering an opinion which the management didn't like. It's like, wait a minute, if he, it's not like Steven Strasberg called and said, fired Dibble. As a matter of fact, he came out in the press and said, look, I respect Rob. If Rob thinks that's the case, then fine. He tried to help him. But, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth.
Yep.
So, it's like the line in A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. Giving people Oscar lines on Oscar day after the Oscar. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So further down the road here this week, are we going to get? I'm going to bring a couple of guests on Thursday and Friday, so we can get some fun stuff. And I know that our buddy might grace us with his presence.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Joe Wiz. I'm going to talk to him later tonight and see what he wants to do, because maybe we'll have him on Wednesday and maybe a little Thursday.
Yeah,
and then Friday. We tape Friday, so maybe Friday afternoon or Friday evening or something like that. Kind of come on and talk a little bit, maybe before the late games Friday. That would be pretty interesting. Go through the 8 late games that day, and maybe some of the games on Saturday as well. So he'll be around.
Well, yeah, if you do it on Friday, you'll know what's going to happen on Saturday.
Yes,
which will be fun. So, yeah, there's a lot going on this week. So we got all kinds of fun stuff coming. What's the big game this week in Premier League and Champions League?
Right now I think you got. There's a couple decent games Wednesday: Brighton and Crystal Palace, Southampton, Brentford. But you got the FA Cup this weekend as well. Hey, Luke, you got the FA Cup. So I think those are going to be pretty interesting games. You got. There's Lukey.
Hey, Luke, how are you?
Say hi.
Hey, Luke.
Say hi.
Hi.
And then, the Champions League, I think, you got the games. Porto Inter, I think tomorrow is City. Manchester City will beat Leipzig. Wednesday, I think Napoli is pretty clear, and Madrid obviously up 3 goals up at going at home. So, and then you got all the games Thursday as well. So the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. So pretty big week of sports.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Any final comments before we head out the door here?
Just keep
subscribe, hit the bell, like us. We're very likable people. Okay, so please, I see you out there. It takes just one little thing. Just bang the bell and hit the thumbs up button, and join us every day, same time, same bat channel until at 2 o'clock. And tomorrow we may, if you are nice, if you want, we may help you out with your brackets, because tomorrow will be your last day before we get into the, tomorrow night we're going to get into the first four, which is not, they don't like to call them playing games because the NCAA gets mad about that. I can live with them being mad at me. So we'll figure out how that goes. So, all right, for Sean, I'm Jim. We will see you tomorrow. Be well and get your brackets ready.